Most people think that buying a franchise is just the next step in their career, that finally they get to be the boss after doing work and building their resume for years. Now they can be their own boss. Even worse, people think that if they're buying a franchise, that they're buying a system that automatically does everything for them. This couldn't be farther from the truth. If you don't shift your mindset from an employee mindset to an owner mindset, you're going to buy a job that you hate. Now, it's true that a good franchise, that the failure rates are somewhere between 9 and 15%. However, what they don't tell you is that the degree that you're successful within that franchise, whether you're at the top 10% or you're in the middle of the pack, is all determined by how much you own the system that you are buying and using that system as an owner as opposed to just following a system like an employee. So today we're going to begin that transformation. We're going to help you to be not only a good franchise buyer, but we're going to help you to be at the top of the 10% of successful franchises that you buy by moving from an employee mindset to an owner mindset. Let me tell you a story about Jason. Jason, successful corporate guy, did all the things right. He got pre-qualified with the lender before he bought the franchise. He knew what he was shopping for. He bought a really strong franchise brand, but 6 months later, he was hating it. He was hating life and not understanding why. He was missing his 6-month numbers. He was not on par with the other franchisees that he had talked to, and thought, for sure this person's just like me. I'm in the same kind of demographic and urban area territory. And he just wasn't hitting his numbers. And the reason why is that he was just following a system and not really owning the system. So we're going to walk through 3 major shifts today that are going to help you to avoid that mistake and to help make that shift, that mental shift from employee to owner. So shift number 1, you are 100% responsible. That means that you have to think of yourself that there's no fallback, there's no manager to go to, there's no safety net, and there's no payroll. It's your game now. Now, you do have a system and you do have a group of people who are there for you to follow a system to be successful, that are holding you accountable, that are there, to help you with the problems that you're having. But at the end of the day, you've got to be able to own the process. You've got to be able to drive the process. The franchisor that sold you the franchise, they're dealing with hundreds, maybe thousands of franchisees. So unless you're in the driver's seat, you've got to literally take the freedom of ownership as if you were you're holding the steering wheel and you're driving the car. If you're holding the steering wheel and you're not driving the car, you're going to crash. And so that's the mindset and the metaphor that you need to embrace from this point forward. And as scary as that may sound, it's where freedom lies. It's where you get to do the things that you're best at and the things that you really want to do and drive success for yourself. So this leads me to shift number 2. You get paid for the decisions that you make, not for the time that you show up. This is a hard shift for some people because showing up means you got a paycheck every 2 weeks or a month or whatever your payroll period was. Of course, you had to produce outcomes, you had to have good performance reviews, etc., etc. But there is a subtle but really important shift that now you got to drive the process. You've got to drive the outcomes. You're no longer going to get a performance review. And so you have to make that shift now and understand that the things that drive business and drive success for you are the ideas that you bring, the systems that you're driving in your company, the leadership you're providing to your employees. And literally, if you were to take a metaphor, you now get to hold the steering wheel of your car and you have to drive it. You're not in the passenger seat anymore. You're the one making decisions, driving the vision, driving the employees, and motivating everybody. Now, that may sound very scary, but if you shift and reframe, now that's where the freedom exists. You get to drive to where you want to drive. And so take the steering wheel and drive. Make that shift from employee to driver. And then, so that leads me to shift number 3. Now, if you didn't do the section of this course around defining your why, you need to go back one step. Defining your why, and I'll put a link in the show notes below so that you can go back and do that. But defining your why is where you get your vision. You can't drive somewhere until you know where you're going. And when you're making a shift from employee to owner, you're making a lifestyle decision. You're making a decision to buy a business that aligns with the life that you want to have. And so when you define your why strongly, then you're choosing a business that fits that why. You're choosing a core motivation that will get you through the hard times. And I have to say that, and I've said this before, Most of the people that I interact with as clients, they've been shopping for businesses already, which means they're chasing shiny objects. If you're chasing shiny objects, you're not reaching a destination. And if you're chasing shiny objects, you're planned to buy a job that you might hate because you haven't taken the time to set your vision and to set your goals and to set your why and to really be clear about what business you want to own, and which means what lifestyle do you want to have and what joy do you want to derive from the work that you do on a daily basis. So we're going to do an exercise. I want you to close your eyes. This is really quick. Imagine waking up 12 months from today. You own your business. You control your time. You even get to choose the problems you want to solve. Your days are built around your priorities and not someone else's that have been handed down to you. You are in the driver's seat. You are there to motivate others. You are there to mentor other people. You are there to be part of your community and to deliver services and goods that benefit other people. And you derive your satisfaction from delivering something that gives you joy. That is the ownership mindset in action. And it starts today with the way you think. So, I want you to pull out a piece of paper, pause this episode for a couple minutes, and I want you to answer 2 questions. Question number 1. What does true freedom look like for you? What does true freedom look like for you? Is it freedom to work when you want to? Is it freedom to work where you want to? Is it freedom to work from home? Is it freedom to choose what things you do for work in a day and what things that you delegate to others to do? Take the time and write it down. What does true freedom look like for you? Number 2, what kind of problems are you excited to solve? If you chase in your life solving interesting problems, you will always be successful. It's just as important to say what you want to solve as opposed to what you don't want to solve. So you might create a second column in that answer and say, what things do you not want to solve? What kinds of people do you not want to work with? What kind of things do you not want to do? And that contrast will help triangulate and create a laser focus for the kind of franchise that will be a really good match for you. When you look at franchises, you want to ask, or you want to look for, what is the day in the life of a franchise owner look like? Every franchisor develops a day in the life sheet. If you ask for it, they will give it to you gladly. And they had the experience of hundreds and maybe thousands of franchisees who are successful in their system. And they have encapsulated what that ideal, what that daily life looks like. Once you have done this work, and up to now, you should have defined your why. You should have looked at, what your ownership mindset is and developed a vision for yourself. You'll be able to match that up to, does this franchise match my day in the life that I want for myself? This is how you'll create the foundation from every decision that you're going to make from this point on. So, that in mind, thank you so much. We're going to now take the work from the last 2 sessions and we're going to move it into defining your freedom network, your freedom framework, Your freedom framework is going to become the culmination of how you're going to design your lifestyle. And it's the last step in this process. And then we'll move into, from there, we'll move into what we do with that and how we buy a franchise. Great job getting to here. Now let's do this next step. Define your freedom framework. Click on the link here, follow the next video, and I'll see you there.